All right, everyone, I want to welcome you to the AdCast, and today I have some special guests all the way from Miami, Florida, online here with us. We have Jany Martinez-Ward and Mr. Greg Ward of the Ward Law Group out in Orlando. Today, we're going to talk about the amazing law firm that they've built, the culture that they've built, how they do it, and why they do it. This is the AdCast.
You're listening to the AdCast.
There's three things that I tell people to focus on. That's your budget, your media, and your message.
People gon' call it the truth.
Every day I'm hustling.
If you hustle, you'll never go hungry.
Hustle and motivate. That's why they follow me, huh? They think I know the way.
You're listening to the AdCast.
Welcome to the AdCast. I have some very special people here. It's been a long time coming since we had you on the podcast. These are some folks that I am very impressed with what they've built. It is Ms. Jany Martinez-Ward and Mr. Greg Ward of the Ward Law Group. Guys, say hello to the audience.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, how are you?
Thanks for having us on the podcast.
Awesome. So I'd like to go in through just have you guys just introduce yourselves very briefly. If we could start off with you, Mr. Greg, if that's okay.
Well, I was going to say ladies first, but I don't mind taking the spotlight, so that's fine. My name is Greg Ward. I am an attorney. I originally was born in Maryland and grew up and went to law school in Maryland and then moved down to Miami about 20 years ago to practice law. And Miami is about as close to another country as I could get. I really enjoyed the different culture here when I moved here. And the folks here were really very welcoming. And, I've loved it here ever since. And I'm fortunate enough to be able to work with my lovely wife in the same firm.
That's me.
Ms. Jany, introduce to the folks, tell the folks a little bit about you for anyone who's been under a rock and they don't know about the Ward Law Group.
Well, my name is Jany Martinez-Ward. I've been an attorney for 7 years. I'm originally from Cuba. I was born in Cuba, raised in Venezuela. When I was 14, I came to the United States and I went to high school here, college, and law school. And I've been always living in Miami. And what I do, I'm a lawyer with my husband, and we help the Hispanic communities when they're victims of a car accident.
Awesome. And they do amazing work, and we'll talk about the work that they're doing and also the staff. So I want to ask you both. Greg, you came from, you've been in Miami now for 20 years. You grew up in Baltimore. Jany, you are a Miami product now. You've been in Miami. You've went to high school there. What made you both say, I want to be an attorney? Why this field?
Well, for me, it was, I sort of fell backwards into it, ironically. I had a lot of qualities, I guess, of an attorney, and people kept telling me I should go and become an attorney, and I didn't really want to do that. I was in sales and did some other jobs, but after college, I really found myself sort of being bored and applied for law school. Once I got into law school, there was just a really great unity of everything that was important to me, and I found that I was really would be a good lawyer. And I enjoyed law school. It was very challenging, but I did enjoy it a lot, and that's when I really got the confirmation that's what I should be doing, to be able to kind of stand up for other people and represent the community that that I loved, and I've never looked back.
And Jany, how about you?
For me, I always knew I was going to be a lawyer. Ever since I was little, I would always defend the one that didn't have a voice. I would always fight for the one that couldn't fight for themselves. So I guess I was practicing the skills growing up without even knowing it. And I wasn't afraid to speak up. And basically, that's what we do every day. When I went to law school and throughout the process, I would get a random phone call from friends, family. Can you help me with this work? Can you help me fill out this paper? And what I found out is that my community, which is the Hispanic Latino community, wasn't really represented. There's a lot of people that are bilingual in Miami, but when you want to find an attorney that speaks your language in Spanish, that can explain it to you very simple, not with this fancy or complicated words, just straight up, like, what does this mean? What does this contract mean? How do I fill out my immigration paper? If I'm involved in a car accident, what do I do? What is the 1, 2, 3 steps? there wasn't anybody doing that in Miami and in Florida overall.
Wow.
So I said, well, we're going to be different. We're going to be that simple 1, 2, 3 steps for our community. We're going to explain it in simple terms that a person can understand. And that was our success. That's what we do every day. We take really complicated and fancy words and explain it to a regular person on the everyday. So they have peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
They feel calm. They feel that we're really taking care of them and their family. And that's how we train our employees. Like, it's not rocket science. It's simple, and we're here for our clients.
Wow.
So, yeah, I want to echo one of those points. You know, both my wife and myself, we realized that when we were younger, we would stand up for other people. That's something we both did.
Wow.
And she stood up for immigrants, the immigrant community. I was kind of the kid who was standing up for bullies. You know, I would, you know, there'd be a little kid who'd be getting bullied. I would stand in that gap for that kid who wouldn't defend himself, maybe. And so, you know, when we talk about being a lawyer, particularly a lawyer for personal injury victims, that's what we do every day. You know, we stand up to people who are maybe insurance companies that are saying, you know, your claim isn't worth this, or you're not really heard, or you're a liar, those kinds of things. And then they just, you know, harass poor people who really do need help. And so we stand in that gap for them.
So
and for most people, the insurance company represent big giants. They have unlimited money. They have unlimited attorney, unlimited help. And then you have one person that is hurt, that can't get out of their house, that just lost their car. So we are here to fight those giants for them, to battle, and we're not afraid to do so.
And that's the 1-2 punch that both of you actually represent. I think we talked about it a long time ago. Is you know, Jany, what's been instilled in you since you were younger, and Greg, and even since you were younger, being able to stand up to the bullies. I think those things actually are representative of your firm today. I want to say, you said one line, Jany. You said you're different, right? And I led off in the conversation. I talked about how you guys were actually different, and you talked about how you that same thought and that same way of thinking actually goes down to your employees. You have this culture that I have never seen before in a law firm. I mean, you would think that you're actually inside a sports team locker room when you walk inside of your building, because the people are bought into your mentality. How do you do that?
I think it was for you. My wife looked at me, but I think that's really her question, so I'll let her start.
Well, for me, has always been having faith, having God in our life, and being centered around it. We're only humans. You know, we make mistakes. We are not perfect. So believing in a higher power to get that driving force to be able to push. And another thing is that we do is that we don't focus so much on the weaknesses of people. We are all different. We're all, you know, with a different personality, with a different ethnicity, with a different background. What we do is, what is your strength? What is your skill? And how can we grow you and develop you in that area so you can be your best self? And I think that's key, because if you get a person or a specific personality, whether it's in the accounting department or in the customer service or in the leadership department or marketing, what do you have that you're in that role? And how can we grow you to be the best that you can be, rather than pointing out at the weaknesses all the time?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the Bible is full of examples about how God used very flawed people, besides Jesus, of course.
Right.
But God used, I mean, the apostles were very flawed. You know, Peter had impulse control issues, and, you know, so that's a great example we use. David was King David in the Bible was an example of just a really flawed human being, but he's also, you know, a man after God's heart. And so if you look at that, you know, God takes us where he finds us and uses us with our talents. So we always focus on, as my wife said, trying to develop the best version of everybody who's around us. And it's always our sincere hope that if somebody doesn't stay with us, that they were better people for having known us. Mm-hmm. And again, we have our flaws too. I mean, I sometimes
no one's
temper, stress. So, you know, and we have to just keep a humble heart and say, you know what, you know, in that moment I wasn't my best version, but we're held to a higher standard, of course. Mm-hmm. So, you know, really keeping an eye on our faith, and we both share the same faith, and it's very centered to our relationship, really, you know, kind of permeates the entire firm.
And also, I think for the younger people like me, like my generation, and the generation below me, we have a lot of millennials working at the firm, maintaining and keeping your true self. I think that's so important nowadays because we're all looking for a superhero. We're always looking for somebody that we can model after. We always want to strive for the best, but I feel like it's good to grow. I feel like it's good to develop the skills, but also keeping your essence, maintaining who you are. Greg is Greg. Jany is Jany. We're two different people. And we tell the young people, the millennials and our managers, you are here for who you are, and maintaining true to yourself, to your core values, through your beliefs, speaking up when it's right, and being wise with what you say is also key to our success. And that's what we push now. You know, we push that us, being true, being unique.
Do you find yourselves where, you know, you're Greg, you're Jany, where you both balance each other out when it comes to running the business? I mean, does that help having that partner there with you 24/7?
Yeah, because we have very different roles. Although we have the role, we're husband and wife first, and we have all the folks who are here. But if this firm didn't serve our family first, right? We have to put our family first. We have three kids, 3 daughters, and twin 3.5-year-old girls. So that's a lot of responsibility just on the family side. So if we weren't able to take care of our family first, we wouldn't have the energy to be able to run a firm. But beyond that, we try and compartmentalize the responsibilities, but also act as a sounding board for each other and help develop each other.
Right.
For example, I've more developed the structures and the other things, and act sort of as the lead sort of cheerleader figurehead. My wife is very much in the marketing side of things, and she's maybe a little bit more in the day to day of how things run. And so we both try and, like we say with our people, with us we try to work to our strengths too. I couldn't be a micromanager if I tried. Right. So
right.
So managing things that require microscopic management, that's not my strong suit. So we have other people we hired, that some people who really do enjoy to do the different work. My wife just has a different skill set. So we respect each other's territories, but we also come together to help each other. If we see we're taking a misstep, we can obviously step in and help each other out.
Not only good husband and wife, but good partners as well in business. You were saying, Jany?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the best way I can summarize it is that he comes up with a vision and I help execute that vision. I, create a leadership and a team of people of different skills that we can execute the Greg's vision towards the firm. And we're just pushing. We're very high energy, and we're always go, 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 go.
Oh, I know.
So,
I've seen it.
He always says, "Honey, hold yourself. Let's think about this a little bit. Let's think about the structure." And he gives me that balance of it's not always go. You have to have a plan and a very detailed plan and execute it. And then sometimes when he has to jump and have that leap of faith. And sometimes you just got to do and not think so much. Yeah. Well, that's where I am. Like, we're going to go do, and we're not going to think so much this time. And we go through seasons. The firm has seasons. Sometimes it's growing and expanding, and sometimes it's just thinking of the strategy and how we're going to get there to achieve our vision and our goal.
So, you talked a lot about how your beliefs, you kind of run the firm first with your beliefs. And so your beliefs have kind of gone into the culture of how you run the firm. What I've seen is you guys do and you make it live and make it public on like Facebook and Instagram. You show that you guys are doing like a book club. You guys are reading like the same books. How have those things helped with the team building and the betterment of the firm?
So it really gets down to, we have one core guiding principle, which is, and I summarize it with the 3 S's: service, 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 right? So one of our biggest key to success is that we put service to the clients first. We always want to make sure that our clients get the best customer service that they can get. And we encourage and develop our team to provide service to the clients, because most of our referrals come from people who have friends or family who've been injured in car accidents. Mm-hmm. And we also remind people that sometimes the most challenging clients can be the best referral source after you meet their expectations. And I joke about it because I say, their friends say, hey, if they can satisfy Bob, right, then clearly they're going to do a good job for me.
That's
right.
A good,
so we
that's
have
a good way to look at it.
Right. So service. And then the second service is service to our team. And we want to make sure that everyone understands that we're all here to support each other and grow each other and develop each other. So, we were doing some leadership workshops, and some other firms were talking about how they had book clubs. And we thought that would be a great thing that we could work with our managers, that they could, we could begin to coach them and put more of this, like a spiritual DNA, it really kind of spread that and be stuff that we agree with. And so we started a book club, I guess I'm going to say 6 months or almost a year ago now, and started picking titles where we identified flaws or shortcomings in our organization. And we began, and it grew. And then now everyone wants to be in the book club.
Wow.
But you have to be careful because not everybody's ready for the book club.
That's
because
true.
The book club is very demanding, right? We expect you to make changes in your life. If you're reading this material, I want it to impact you because I'm not going to spend time if you're not ready for that season yet, right? And so we're very selective with the book club, but it's been a tremendous success. And now we're moving from dealing with people's inner issues and those sorts of things and coaching people. We did Cy Waitman's books with the book club to start with. We're going through a coaching book now. We're going to move into the metrics books now, which is we're going to probably make it just the senior staff. We can talk about how to set key performance indicators and things like that. So, but we've noticed a significant change, and particularly because people want to be in the book club now. They realize there's another level, and those people who are really excited about growing, they want to be part of that. And so, that it really has inspired people to, kind of want to get in with cool kids, so to speak.
Well,
you expect that I'm a cool kid. I don't know if I am, but the other people in the book club are cool kids. So,
well, why is it? Oh, go ahead, honey. I don't want to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, I just, like Greg and I, especially me, I come from a very underprivileged background. I come from nothing. I come from, no money, just having to find $5 to put gas on my car to be able to get to school. Sometimes, I didn't know how we were going to pay the light bill in the house, how we're going to pay the rent. And we always had this surviving mentality. At some point in the firm, we realized that we couldn't be in surviving mode, but we had to grow. And if the leaders of a company is not growing, then you are putting a stop in your firm or in your company. Your company is not going to grow higher than you. So Greg and I said, we need to look at yourself, at ourselves. We need to get some self-reflection and perspective, and we need to start working on our growth so that we can grow the firm. So that happened for a couple of months. And then we realized, well, how do we accelerate this growth? Mm-hmm. Not only is our growth, but our managers need to grow with us. And that's when we started the vision of the book club. We wanted to learn along with our managers. We wanted us to grow together so that we could achieve and conquer better. Because, having so many employees at this point, if your managers are not growing with you, then you might be growing by yourself, but you cannot run a whole company without the rest of the help of it.
I agree 100%. Well, why is it important to have a good culture? Why would you say it's important to have a good culture?
Well, we're in a great example of this right now with the pandemic, right? And I know this is going to sound absolutely crazy, but if you look at this is a natural extension. When the pandemic hit 4 months ago, look, I've been through some terrible, terrible things in my life, and this was scary even for me, And so, I went through a hurricane that shut down my law firm for months, literally months. The building was the only building in Fort Lauderdale that the center got blown out of it. So, and all my stuff was in there, it got wrecked. And so, I've been through this before, but our organization was much larger. Now, this is an old firm. Now we had a lot more people. It was very scary when the pandemic hit, even for us. But I discerned in my spirit, I try and pray as much as I can. And that, this is an opportunity to expand. Who has said that, right? Nobody's saying that now. Everybody's like, let's bunker down, right? I want to expand. And so we started.
Aggressive about it.
And I'm aggressive. Like, I'm really.
We're too much alike, Greg. We are too much alike.
Yeah. No, I'm really like, truly. And it took a few months to get my feet under me as to how we're going to do it, because we did have to go into bunker mode because the Dade County made us send everybody home. So, we had people working from home. but we started planning out I said, what can we do right here, right now to expand?
Yeah.
And so we started recording some commercials where we had social distancing, we had people in masks in our studio, and we said, we've never been able to do this training module. Let's get that out. And so I was in for a week, and Jany was in for a week, and we had a couple other people in just recording training module after training module after training module. So now we have this full training system.
Right.
And then we went into, let's negotiate some new advertising contracts because everybody pulled back. Like it was crazy. Everybody's running for the hills. And I said, no, let's go after it. Let's do it. And we were able to get some deals on stuff we weren't able to do. Everyone's sitting in their house for 3 months watching TV, and all they saw was our commercials. And so now we're coming into and God willing, there's not a second spike. We're in Miami-Dade County, and there's some problems here. We're the new epicenter of coronavirus. Fortunately, we have most people working from home, so we haven't been touched by it. But I anticipate that, we're now really starting to look at, we're getting resumes from other law firms, from people from other law firms who have been laid off. And we had a couple of the best revenue months of our entire time because our team was already prepared for this. When we had this issue, I said, listen, we're going to expand. And then when they got over the initial shock of how the heck can I expand working from my home office, once they started realizing they could do it,
wow,
it started taking off. And we expanded. And we bought a building. We ended up closing on an $11.5 million building for our new headquarters during the coronavirus shutdown. We did all the training we're talking about. We did the commercials, and as I said, we had some significant revenue months. Now the total case intake has gone down,
right? But
I'm standing in a place of faith that that's going to come back as soon as, and it's already getting back.
Oh, absolutely, it will.
But if we didn't have that culture that had already been instilled in our people, when I said the crazy comment that when everyone is saying the world is over, we're going to expand. If we didn't have that, then it would have been a disaster. And it was a disaster for a lot of our competitors, quite honestly. They just don't. They're still trying to figure out what to do, and we already have our plans. And we're already executing on it. And every day I'm super excited about it now because I actually see the fruits of that seeding and that harvest because it really is starting to grow, and we're coming out of it faster than most people. And as I said, we're hiring some of the best stars from other firms that got laid off. They just got laid off. And so, we're prepared. We're the only firm hiring. So,
So we're getting the best talent out there.
Yeah, we're in the same position. I think what you're saying, Greg, is exactly what I want to dive into. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about how law firms are operating during the pandemic. This is the AdCast.
Today's show is sponsored in part by Craft Creative. Change your creative. Change your world with premium video production and graphic design. Get started by visiting WeCraftCreative.com.
You don't need a marketing agency. You do deserve very important placement. VIP Marketing and Advertising is a cutting-edge strategic digital, creative, media, and marketing partner that provides services for businesses of all sizes. To stay up to date on the latest marketing news, subscribe for email updates at veryimportantplacement.com.
You're listening to the AdCast, the podcast for marketers and advertisers with your host, Eric Elliott.
All right, so we are back with Mr. Greg Ward and Ms. Jany Martinez-Ward from the Ward Law Group out of Miami, Florida, and they also have an office in Orlando. I don't want you guys to forget about that. In the first part of this episode, we talked about their culture, their faith, their beliefs, how it's actually infected their culture and how they run and operate the firm. And then right before the break, Greg was getting really passionate and really excited. Now you got me excited, Greg. I'm excited over here. We were talking about just being aggressive, while others were pulling back, you were going forward. And if you remember, like in 2007, 2008, when things were happening, the smart people went right in. They went right in. But I think what's important was when you went in, you mapped things out. So you were planning before this happened, Greg. So, and it's almost like, I hear a lot of people, they get on podcasts and they talk about like, well, I'm going to help you get through this. Well, the truth is if you weren't working on it before it, you're going to have a hard time now while you're in it. So you were working on you and your team, you and Jany and the team, you guys were working on what to do before a pandemic. So when it hit, you didn't have to have the buy-in and the culture belief. Your people were already ready, and they see what kind of leaders you are by getting through this pandemic and getting them back to work. So now it's like these folks will follow you to the end of the earth right now. So let's talk about how difficult it is right now for people to market during a pandemic. You said either the cases might be down, but it's going to come back up. And I feel like the effects of what's happening now or during the lockdowns, it'll affect law firms probably 5-6 months from now, right?
Yeah.
When things kind of settle out. But how is it marketing for your firm now? You guys have gotten more aggressive, and Jany, you do a lot of the marketing. So tell me, how have you gotten more aggressive without giving away the secret sauce?
Well, I think that right now we're all having a little bit of fear, but we realize that fear can be a very powerful motivator, and it's daring to do the things that you didn't do in the past. So we're using that fear to dare, right, and to tap into new levels that we haven't had in the past. So we decided to start a new channel that we had never been before. And right now we are on every Spanish TV station that there is available. So whenever you're flipping the channels, you're going to get bored of these faces right now.
Got it.
And we use that fear, right? TV stations are scared. Everybody pulled out of their marketing. Well, how can we use that to benefit our business? We negotiated the most competitive prices out there, and we expanded in all the TV channels, in radio stations. We also expanded in social media, and Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all these sources. Because right now, if you're not flipping channels because you're bored, a lot of people are unemployed. A lot of people don't know what to do. A lot of people want to look at their phone. So we're gonna be in your faces too, in Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, but I want to talk about one other thing, because it's really I keep coming back to the spiritual side, and right now we're in such a spiritual time. Because there's a lot of uncertainty, and my wife is an amazing light to the Hispanic community and the Spanish speakers in Miami, and I like to think that I'm a light too. And when I say a light, I'm talking about, I want to get back to Jesus for a minute. You read the Gospel of Matthew, he talks about, you're a light, a city on the hill, and it shouldn't be hidden. Your light shouldn't be put under a basket. And so in these times of uncertainty, it breaks my heart to see what we're going through as a society, right? Let's talk about Black Lives Matter too. Yeah. Right. What happened to George Floyd? I mean, this is a time of uncertainty and a time of pain and time of suffering for a lot of people. And so, you're thinking, okay, these are car accident lawyers. Right. But the truth is, we want to be a light to people and give them the light that we have, that there's God out there and he loves you and you have hope. And what has worked for us in marketing has been, we've been a light in a time of crisis in a car accident. Right. Let's think about what happens. Somebody gets hurt in a car accident. They are losing hope. They're losing their job. They're losing their home. They're in pain. Their family's suffering. They're suffering. They're scared. I mean, that's where we are now. As a society, that's where we are now. And so we want to get out there. And so in addition to that, we really have been trying to focus more on the light and the hope of, supporting some of the charities. Like we support a lot of churches. We want to get the churches out there, and they're suffering because everyone is afraid. They started, online viewership was way up and now it's going down. Yeah. People are fragmenting as a society. Our country's leadership is, let's say, not the best right now for dealing with a crisis. And I don't care what side of the spectrum you're on, because you could watch CNN and think Trump is terrible, or you could watch Fox and think the Democrats are terrible. I don't care what side you're on, you're thinking it's terrible. Right. So, because we have friends on both sides of the aisle, we try and be, evangelists and say, we're in the middle. We're not here for these sides. We're here to talk about God. And so, so we want to bring that light out too. And so that's a big part of our mission right now, is to just be there. So God forbid somebody gets in a car crash and they're feeling like they don't have any hope, they can look to us for hope. And maybe also kind of bring people up a bit in this time, because this is a really very difficult time for our culture and society. And it hurts, it breaks my heart, because I read the headlines every day. The hardest part is keeping my attitude positive, because I just see there's so much just disagreement and people are so frustrated. A lot of vitriol. It's very difficult.
Yeah. And another thing that, to echo what Greg is saying, is there is good people out there. And what we have done is find, those good people and partner with them. And you are the perfect example, Eric, and your team. During COVID and throughout COVID, we have worked together. We have partnered together in creating commercials and creating, beautiful, I call it work of art, marketing. and, videos and commercials and, planning for the future. So I know that we're about to also get together to record more commercials and more videos. So there's good people out there that are willing to share your same vision. So find those good people and partner with them throughout this time. I like, positive attracts positive, negative attracts negative. So somebody like you with the same vision that you want to expand, that you want to push, that you want to grow, we work in different areas, but we can do great things together. Right. And that's what we're doing during COVID.
And let me tell you, there's nothing like a big pandemic and societal unrest to show you who your friends are.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Truly.
Wow.
Truly. Because God has given us revelation now too, like people we've worked with in the past, and we're like, wait a minute, they're just not there, or revealing stuff where, a crisis can bring out the best in people and the worst in people.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we see a lot of people, the worst is coming out, and we wouldn't have seen it had they not been tested. Right? And so, and iron sharpens iron. So, we work together, we sharpen each other, we lift each other up. But at the same time, you begin to realize there's some people who maybe you shouldn't be associating with, because this is brought out in the crisis, and so this gives you the opportunity to say, you know what, I'm going to make some changes too.
Yeah,
we're doing too.
There's two things. Anytime I work with someone or interview them, I always look to see two things: are they consistent and are they authentic? And I think for you guys, that's why you're having the success that you are. And then I'm hoping that a lot of other firms can actually, across the country, can kind of learn from what you are. There's some firms where they don't instill their beliefs within their culture, and it may not work for all firms. But truthfully, I think the number one thing is just showing that you are human more than anything. And I think that's why that's one of the reasons why you have the buy-in from your team the way you do, because they see the both of you. And they see how you lead them, and you lead them with passion. You lead them with passion, and you lead them with purpose, and then they will follow you. And so kudos to you guys for actually doing that. Is it difficult marketing a law firm now? There's so many law firms out there. Is it difficult now?
I want to give a shout out to my wife, because you talk about authenticity, and that's the word, right? I don't feel like it's difficult for us. Because my wife has a unique story. I have a unique story. And we want to market to the people that our story resonates with. There is nobody in Miami, right? Really, there's nobody in the country that I've seen. But there's no one in the country that, certainly not in Miami, who came across the border, 14 years old, with a backpack, little brother in your arms, with nothing. Don't even speak the language, right? And God blessed her and built her up. And so if we're dealing with the people who know what it's like to struggle, that story, no one can talk about that story because that's her story, right? I grew up in Baltimore. I was in a lower socioeconomic background. I grew up in a very interracial community. And so I understand, I was educated and, I went and I came to Miami, which, obviously has, is mostly Hispanic, but my background, I have a story and I had people who I've stood up for who were different than me. And that's my passion. And so, so is it hard to market? Well, negotiating good advertising contracts and all that stuff, that's a hassle, figuring out what works and not wasting your money. But the truth is, when you market your authentic story and who you really care about, and if you do it passionately, it's not hard because nobody can compete with her. No one can compete with me. My wife?
No, I don't think so.
She blows it away.
Regardless of what you do, you're saying that, but what makes it that we can compete? Well, being real, like you're saying, Eric. If you're staying real, people are so tired of the hypocrisy. People are so tired of what's going on with the world. People just want to connect, especially during COVID, and just keep it real. So if they see somebody not with the big jacket and the library and the books, and somebody that's just, hey, we're here, we're real, we're humans like you, and we just want to help you. That's it. I think that's the difference, and that's the key to our success. I think a lot of people try to portray on TV somebody that they're not, or somebody of what they want to look like.
Right.
But I think people are smart. people, don't fall for that anymore. Maybe what worked 10, 15 years ago
I
doesn't
agree.
work now.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
There's a lot of gimmicky advertising out there. Like that's the stuff when people laugh at lawyer advertising because there's a lot of gimmicky stuff. When we try and give value-added advertising, like educate people and help them understand the situation they're in. But, some people go for gimmicky, but if they're not authentic and good people, call the aggressive attorneys or whatever that is. Yeah. I can look aggressive. Okay, so, but who's that client going to be? And, that's not our client. Our client is somebody who's legitimately hurt, who legitimately needs help and trusts us to do the right thing by them and we build a relationship with them. And so we're never the gimmicky type. We may do some funny stuff for people to remember us because I did a commercial.
You're funny.
But I'm funny. I got a good sense of humor, so they tell me. But it's not everything we're doing is funny, so we go back and forth. And so, but what my wife said is right. You got to keep it real. And, it's not about the image of an attorney. Some people will hire that. I don't want those clients.
Yeah.
I don't want the clients who are going to go for the pit bull or whatever. I don't want those clients because I can be a pit bull, but that's one piece of the whole relationship that we have. And you don't want that guy doing every part of your case. And so, we want to go to what our authentic values and core values are and project that out there and that attracts clients.
And when I ask people, what do you want in an attorney? The bottom line is, I want somebody that I can trust. And if they can trust you, they'll go all the way with you. They'll follow your advice. And that's what we focus on. We are two real human beings, two real people, but you can trust in us. We are going to have your back whenever you have a car accident, and both of us are here for you. And that's what we sell. And, I think it's worked well. What do you think?
It's worked well. The way
our growth numbers, it's had phenomenal growth. So
the way I see anytime any business world, especially now with law firms, lawyers, when you are running an ad, either on the radio, on Facebook, on television, wherever you're running it, that is your opportunity to do a presentation for your client or your potential client. And you can either screw it up or you can get it right. That's the only way that you can do it. And that's how I see them. It's like, that's your opportunity. When you have their attention, don't waste their time. Because they do see through that. And like you said, you made reference to let's just say, okay, I'm the pit bull lawyer or anything like that. People, they see through that. And you're gonna attract a certain kind of case. And you're gonna attract a certain type of clientele. But when you market with authenticity, that's why you deal with the clients that you deal with. And that's why you get the referrals that you get from the people. Does it make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about Ocho Cinco Cinco Dolor Cinco Cinco, the phone number. We have said it around the office. Guys, I got guys in the office. I dare one of you right now. Sing the jingle.
Ocho Cinco Cinco Dolor Cinco Cinco.
You heard that, right? Did you hear that? So
we know the song.
we know the song. You know the song. And the people of Miami, they know the song as well. Has that helped you, and do you think that's successful for law firms to have a memorable number in a jingle?
Yeah, and so looking at the metrics, for example, we kind of fell backwards into that. We knew we needed something that people could remember, and funny enough, talking about prayer. Prayer permeates our firm from the very beginning. We got the number obviously at the very beginning of our firm. We couldn't afford to buy a big repeater number or something like that. And so we were thinking about, well, what is about a lawyer? Dolor is pain in Spanish. And so we couldn't get Dolor because it was all taken up with the 800 numbers. And then I said, well, you know what? We've got 855 Dolor 55. We'll just get that and build something around it and, see where it goes. And we hired a guy to write a really catchy song for us, a driving sort of salsa beat, projecting to our, sort of our client base. And it worked out really well. And we did some other things that, getting the secret sauce now, we did some other things to really push the song out a lot. And so it got to the point where kids across Miami were singing the song. And parents would call up and say, stop playing the song, please, on the radio station.
You told me that.
So, and so, we talk about, being authentic and that stuff. But that's the soft side of this. This is the funny, I remember those people. And at least I can remember the number or whatever. Later on, we've done more studies on this, and we have a repeater number too, which is now 8555 million. But
I don't want you to give away the secret sauce. No more secret sauce. No more of that secret sauce. You guys have worked very hard on that.
8555 million. But the song and the number helped us at the very beginning. It was something, and people heard it and they're like, there's no way that's going to work. And it worked.
Wow.
So.
Wow. I will tell you, like, it's caught on here, even in South Carolina too. So we get it. And so I think you guys have done a great
cannot run from that infectious salsa beat, baby. It's a hot song. It's a hot song.
Maybe I'll dance for you guys and do it on Instagram. So
I would love that.
Definitely.
That's gonna get a lot of looks and eyes, and it's gonna be exciting.
What are some things that you guys would tell some up and coming firms? Because right now, I mean, you guys are in that growth stage. You started off with a few members. I mean, I think last time we checked, over 50, 60 team members in total. What advice would you give for a firm starting out? Because they teach you how to practice law, but they don't teach you how to market the business and run the business. What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I'll start this. I know my wife has some things to say about this too, but I really sincerely want to share my experience, because as I was growing up, I really sought out as a young attorney. I really sought out the lions and titans of the bar to ask them, what's the secret? What do you suggest? And it came down to some pretty basic advice. Just keep doing the same thing, or just do a little more every day, learn a little bit, grow a little bit. And then I realized that most of these guys don't know why they're successful, so they can't give me any good advice, right? They just tell me to do what they did, but the market is changing so fast. What worked 5 years ago won't work now,
or 2 years ago.
And so or 2 years. I honor their attempts to tell me, and some of them maybe didn't tell me what they should have told me. But the truth is, figure it out for yourself. You're going to lose some money. It's going to happen, but figure out what works for you. There's some principles, like don't, track your cases where they come from. Don't spend money. Everybody these web-based people, a lot of them, half of them are just con men. They're just like, I'm going to get you all this, the SEO, whatever it is. It's all nonsense. Not all is nonsense, but many of them are not what I would consider ethical. And so be careful where you spend your money, track it, and then figure it out for yourself, because let me tell you, you learn lessons along the way that nobody could have taught you.
Yeah.
And then you teach those lessons to your people. So, so I can tell you what works for me, and I can maybe give you some advice as to what's not going to work, but maybe you'll find something that works and I'm going to copy it. You know what I mean? Right. So whatever. So don't put too much stock in what other people say. Figure it out for yourself, because, many times people don't even know what they did to get successful, or maybe they got lucky with a big case. Our thing is God. We really feel like God has blessed us and guided us. And so when I stopped looking at other people and just started praying and really studying the Bible and doing that, my life opened up. And so for me, that worked for me. But, if you're not doing it sincerely, it's not going to work for you, because God wants your complete attention. So,
yeah. For me, I would say the one advice is be present. I think that when we start, we're always dreaming about the future, wishing our life away. When I get all these cases, whenever finally the phone is ringing, whenever, this happened, when I get money in, I will do that. But they're not planning in the present. They're not being present. And why do I say that? Because COVID slowed all of us down, right?
Yeah.
There was volume and rush and craziness, and then COVID happened, and we're all slow. So what we learned is that there were holes in the firm that we needed to fix.
Same
so
here.
what are we working right now? By being present, we're working on our structure. We're tightening those things up that we didn't even know that we had. Little problems, little holes, but with the volume, it could create a big problem, So if you're slow right now, having your structures in place and your plan is key. It's so important.
Great advice. Great advice.
And a couple other things, like make sure your firm aligns with your core values. As I said, I've come back to the Bible a lot. I'll keep coming back to it. Like, we feel like our purpose is aligned with a spiritual purpose, that helping immigrants. The Bible actually says be kind to immigrants. The Bible actually says stand up for those who don't have a voice. So those are things that was at the core of our business, core of ourselves, and became part of the core of our business. And the last thing, because this is a great topic, the last thing that I'll say is echo what my wife said. Be present. Man, when we started out, I remember the first settlement we got was a $50,000 settlement. We closed the office for like 3 days. I mean, it was
so
amazing.
Happy.
So happy. And then I remember, we used to take on. We go to a special lunch if we got a $10,000 settlement, which is the max, minimum max required in Florida. We have $10,000 BI limit. And then And I remember the first $1 million settlement we got, and I was like, oh my gosh, we're in a whole new, place, and maybe we took off a day, or we spent a little more money on vacation that year. And now, we probably get $1 million settlement at least once a month. And, and the sad thing about it is it just doesn't have the same impact that it had before. So when she says be present, enjoy every step, because that's so precious at the beginning when you got your first $10,000 check, you get your first $50,000 check, you got your first $100,000 check, and then $250,000, and then you get to the point where you're opening an envelope with a $10,000 check. You're like, oh, that's it. You know what I mean? And God forgive me, because I should be grateful for every settlement, but at the same time, I'm just in such a different headspace right now. So, be present and respect where you are, and grow it, little by little, which is the best. The only advice I could actually give is just do a little bit more every day, which is what Willie Gary told me. Actually, he was the guy who told me that. And
another thing that's also important that we're doing right now is that realize that you don't know it all. So let's go back to partnering with people that know. I could sit here and learn about cameras and learn about lighting and learn about editing, or I can find good people like you that can help me in that area that, I can do amazing commercials, but I don't have to spend my time learning with that.
Yeah.
So use the time to find those people that can align with you and that can help you grow, because that also takes time. Finding good people takes time. So it's also important.
And when you find good people, now here's the thing, and Eric's going to like this. When you find good people, pay for the talent. Pay the man. Seriously. Straight up. I did say you're going to lose some money, you're going to waste some money, but, really front load the work to make sure the people you're dealing with are the best people you can find and afford at the time. The people we work with now are more expensive and better than the people when we started. Mm-hmm. But the truth is that don't try and halfway it with the money.
That's a great point. That's a great point. I see that a lot.
It's just not going to work. You've got to, and if you're not ready to spend the money to do it, don't do it. Do something else. Yeah. Right? Build up to that. Right? If you're not ready to hire somebody who's at that level, well, maybe hire somebody a little lower, but don't make that a national television commercial. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, put it on your local radio station and build from there, which is where we started. We started on radio, actually. Build up, a little bit, and then we dominate that and move to the next thing. So, but don't be afraid to pay quality people for their work. Make sure you get what you pay for, but be willing to pay. Don't try and cheap out on this stuff, because it's too important.
It's too important. What we're going to do is we're going to go into the lightning round, but I'm going to leave you with this comment that someone said to me. It's when you do the right thing, the money will come. Right?
That's true.
All right. So Absolutely. we're going to take our final break, and we're going to come back with something we call the lightning round. And in the lightning round, what we're going to do is I'm just going to ask you these simple questions about each medium. I'll say radio. You tell me your thoughts. I'll say billboard. You tell me your thoughts, and so on. This is the AdCast.
Today's show is sponsored in part by Craft Creative. Change your creative, change your world with premium video production and graphic design. Get started by visiting WeCraftCreative.com.
After I arrived in this country, I found myself lost and confused.
During my lowest of lows, I never felt more alone.
But I found my place in the world.
And I found a reason to carry on.
I'm attorney Jany Martinez-Ward.
And I'm attorney Greg Ward. Together at the Ward Law Group, we fight to help injured people when an accident turns their lives upside down.
Just when you thought no one would help, we can.
If you're hurt, make the call. Call Ward Law, 855-5-million.
You don't need a marketing agency. You do deserve very important placement. VIP Marketing and Advertising is a cutting-edge strategic digital, creative, media, and marketing partner that provides services for businesses of all sizes. To stay up to date on the latest marketing news, subscribe for email updates at veryimportantplacement.com.
You're listening to the AdCast, the podcast for marketers and advertisers with your host, Eric Elliott.
This has been an incredible episode. I love talking to Jany and Greg. If you guys would devote time, I'm sure we could be on this all day long talking about a number of different things. So I want to thank you for being so generous with your time. And I want to end our show with something we call the lightning round. In this part of the episode, we talk about what your thoughts are on each of these mediums. So I'll ask you, what are your thoughts on radio?
Oh, you want us both to go, or do you want me to just do one and she can do one?
You could do one and then Jany could do one.
Radio, underutilized.
Jany?
Radio, I would say don't try to cover all the area. Just focus on one segment.
Television.
Expensive.
Know your target. Who do you want to attract?
Newspaper.
Dead.
Outdoor. Billboard.
Useless.
Only if you have a big ego.
I was going to say that, and I said only keep one word.
Wow. That's gonna be a sound bite from this. This is gonna be a sound bite for this. I like that, honey.
By the way, there are some people that billboards work for, but they don't work for us at all.
Direct mail.
Untested for us.
For me, dead for millennials, and I want to track that.
I gave a law firm this tip. I said, when everyone was sheltering in place, that was probably the perfect time to send out a direct mail because everyone was home.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's just some thinking outside of the box like that. Online advertising, Google Ads.
Unpredictable.
You have to find somebody that really knows what to do. Most people say they know it, but they don't know it.
Yeah. Social media.
We're all learning. Social media, it works, but we're all learning.
I'd say it has valuable. It's the value. There's going to be a future to it. If we figure it out.
If you had to make buying decisions, and you can only pick two of those mediums that I suggested or I brought up, which two would you choose and why?
For me, TV and social media. That's where we're going. I think that TV is dying, but it still could be a great tool. Social media, you got to eat it, breathe it, learn it, find out all the details, and that's where we're at.
Was there a why there too? Why would we do that? Or
That's
was it
correct.
Just... So, and I think the why is because, you push your story out through TV and social media. Social media, you have more flexibility to push your story out. TV, you can get the story out in 30 seconds, especially if you can do, interviews with reporters. That's helpful. For me, I also would say, I'll give you two answers. One, from our size, I would say TV. I agree, social media. I think I think both of those are the way to go right now, just for our target audience and getting our story out there. For a new startup firm, I think they should learn social media and radio. I still think now, but not mainstream pop radio stations. I think you give you small AM stations, start there, learn the audience, and it can work for you as a small startup.
I think those are all some really good answers. I want to definitely thank you guys again for making time today. Thank you to our sponsor, Craft Creative and VIP Marketing. And thank you to our guests, Jany Martinez-Ward and Mr. Greg Ward of the Ward Law Group. And thank you to Craft Creative for actually doing the video behind the scenes. And for anyone, thank you for listening to the AdCast. And thank you for giving us your most valuable asset, which is your time. If you feel this podcast has been a help to you or it could be a help to others, don't forget to like and subscribe. And you can listen to the AdCast anywhere, iHeart, Spotify, anywhere, Stitcher, or wherever you millennials listen to music now, right? So to catch up on latest episodes, go to heyimeric.com. I want to thank you guys again. This has been the AdCast. You were great.
Copyright VIP Marketing and Advertising, produced by Craft Creative. For premium video production and graphic design, visit wecraftcreative.com.